Our little tale kicks off by recounting the time when the battle against monsters began. Picture this. Monstrous beings popping up left and right, immortal bodies and all. They'd gnash their teeth at humans without a hint of mercy. But hey, humans had a trick up their sleeve, the divine artifact. 1 year into the war, they whipped up this weapon. There's this guy, right, with a megaphone, preaching that with this holy trinket, they'd shield humanity from those wicked monsters. That's what Rangers do, apparently. Meanwhile, there's D, huffing and puffing, with the number 182 plastered on his shirt, running like there's no tomorrow. Mr. Megaphone's cheering him on, claiming it's just 10 laps to go. Poor D's wondering what's up with that dude's hair, but he'd rather not dwell on it. Maybe those little fish didn't even realize it was a performance. Then he goes all existential crisis and apologizes for overthinking. Still, that guy's hair? Weird. Anyway, D's got a mission. Infiltrate the enemy fortress. He's after the Fab Five, who were there when his mentors bit the dust. He's hunting down the Dragon Guardians, so he's at the HQ, asking the receptionist if they're around. She says no. He's like, isn't this their HQ? Isn't it odd they're not here? She's all nonchalant, and he thinks it's a riddle, asking for a clue. Then bam, Sakurama shows up, thrilled to bits cause he found D. Apparently, D signed up for the recruitment test. D shook cause Sakurama's invading his personal space. He recognizes him as the dude from the other day. Sakurama's all chuffed, welcoming D to the Ranger force. Meanwhile, Suzukiri's apologizing and getting closer, saying she told Sakurama about D, and he got excited. But she's not sure D's got what it takes. Sakurama tells Suzukiri to chill and gives D a pep talk, saying he believes in him. He's gonna ace it, no doubt. D's uncomfortable with Sakurama getting touchy-feely cause, you know? Fighters aren't used to that. Then he notices Suzukiri giving him the stink eye, and suddenly he's a tad worried. She asks if D's had lunch, inviting him to join them. Sakurama's all for it, wanting to bond before D joins their crew. D's thinking they have no clue he's a monster and finds them both ridiculous. Finally, he's in the Rangers and realizes surface dwellers are naive. Sakurama urges him to hurry up and join them, so off they go for lunch. Meanwhile, at Monster HQ, the creatures are playing tic-tac-toe when, lo and behold, one of them barges in with bad news. There's a chopper in their fortress. The Dragon Guardians, Red Rangers there, trying to keep the peace, assuring them they're not there to fight. Blue Rangers not amused, accusing them of having a traitor in their midst. Dark and Brooding confirms it was D, acting all desperate. Blue Rangers fuming, thinking the shadows are hiding D to protect him. Dark and Brooding denies it, and Blue Rangers like, time to step up, buddy. Dark and Brooding's flabbergasted, not getting it until Red Ranger sets him straight. They've been betrayed too. It's all on D, who apparently can't cut it. Blue Ranger apologizes, and they agree to let them know when D returns. Red Ranger's optimistic, citing their decade-long partnership, but they're tightening security to avoid repeats. Enter Hikaru and Ruri, two new dudes joining the fortress crew, and that's the plan from now on. Dark and Brooding ain't too thrilled about this news. Red Ranger's all like, cheer up, folks. We're setting up a mini fortress within the fortress. Blue Rangers laying down the law, saying from now on, the shadows live under their watchful eye and take orders when needed. Red Guardians like, is that cool with everyone? Dark and Brooding can't believe how sudden this all is. But one of the shadowy guys goes off, saying the Rangers can't just decide stuff on their own. After all, the fortress belongs to the shadows. The angry shadow demands to know how they could decide without consulting them. Total tyranny. But another shadow tries to calm him down, telling him to chill. But he's not having it. They should have a say in moments like these. They deserve privacy, damn it. Then he asks if the Rangers remember the agreement they made. Dark and Brooding tells him to pipe down. But then Blue Ranger delivers a knockout blow that practically pops the dude's head off. Blue Ranger's like, keep yapping, and I'll end you. Even Dark and Brooding's like, whoa, ease up. They promise not to retaliate and agree to listen. Red Ranger sees this as a win and starts preaching about how partnership's the way to go. The weak should listen to the strong without a fuss, and the strong shouldn't sweat the weak. Conflict only arises when someone doesn't know their place. Today, the Rangers took a step toward world peace, and anyone who dares mess with that peace will face the consequences. As he's spouting all this, he punches the wall so hard it crumbles, leaving the shadows shaking in their boots. Red Ranger warns that traitors will be dealt with mercilessly, just like they did with their masters. He ends it with a creepy smile. If you don't want a psycho Red Ranger grinning at you, subscribe to our channel to stay updated and avoid Ranger wrath. The shadows quickly assure they won't oppose them. One shadow thinks they shouldn't do anything stupid like D did, making life hard for him. With Rangers and shadows on his tail, D's in for a rough ride. Meanwhile, D's having a meal, trying to figure out how humans eat with forks and knives. Suzukiri explains that the Dragon Guardians aren't usually at HQ. They're scattered across Amenagawa. Rangers' gig isn't just monster killing. They do community service too. D accidentally blurts out that battles are staged, and Suzukiri's shocked they saw that video. Sakurama's outraged, and D plays it off like he meant the video was legit. Clearly, they're clueless. As he eats, he watches fans flocking to Sakurama and Suzukiri for photos. In the fortress, they never had fancy stuff like this, and D finds it totally unfair. Suzukiri and Sakurama bid him farewell for their tasks. Once they're gone, D asks a kid who took a photo with them to show it. Staring at Sakurama, D transforms into him, freaking the kid out. He heads to the Red Quarters since Suzukiri mentioned going there. Suzukiri's surprised he's there. Thinking he's Sakurama, D lies, saying he's off duty. He tells himself to stay calm. He's just here to snoop. He's got a knife tucked away. Asking if he can deliver a letter to Red Ranger, Suzukiri hands it over, and he realizes he needs to keep his cool and aim for Red Ranger's head when the time's right. He's curious what Red Ranger looks like without the mask. When the door opens, he sees a bunch of dudes in red suits. He tries to figure out which one's the Ranger. One of them starts insulting Sakurama, but he knows him, and that's a problem for D. Suzukiri tells them to cut it out, and they finally hand the letter to a guy named Takeda after lots of tension between him and D. Disguised as Sakurama, D remembers all of them from the battlefield, and he and Suzukiri leave. He's managed to keep his cool. Even though he knows they're all super strong, he's not running away. He's just taking a step back for now. Then he spots the real Red Guardian, Suzukiri Akabane, right as he recognizes him from a poster. He asks what happened to Sakurama, but D's frozen. Seeing him, he tells himself not to freak out. But Suzukiri knows he idolizes him and warns him not to get too excited before dragging him away. And D puts on a stellar act, pretending to be a fan, congratulating him on last Sunday's showdown. Red Ranger thanks him, saying it's great to have rookies like him around. Suzukiri admits she started sweating bullets when he talked to Suzukiri Akabane. Then she tells him to forget it and asks for the knife. He's confused because he never mentioned the knife to her. Suddenly, Suzukiri attacks his face, and he hits the ground. Asking how she found out, Suzukiri says he's way too weak. He'd be toast if he wasn't careful. She admits she's been covering for him all day and thinks it's impressive he's kept his cool. Even if he tried to take on Red Ranger, he'd have been toast. D asks who she is, and she says she's his enemy. He quickly gets up, declaring he won't be beaten there. But every time he tries to attack her, she just pops his head off. So he suggests they take a breather and talk. Suzukiri asks if he'd listen to an enemy, and thanks him, calling him pretty cool. She's got a favor to ask. She wonders if they could team up. D's baffled, but Suzukiri says she could teach him how to take down the Rangers. Then, they could destroy the Ranger force together. Right then, Sakurama shows up, saying there's an emergency. A monster's popped up nearby. D finds it odd cause it's not Sunday, and he wonders what's going on. After Sakurama explains everything to Suzukiri, she turns to talk to D, asking him to stick close to her, but he's already bolted. Fighter F's fleeing from the Red Rangers. People are swarming, trying to snap photos, and Sakurama's attempting crowd control to prevent any accidents. D spots F and wonders what he's doing there. Meanwhile, F's sprinting like crazy, but Takeda manages to nail a shot to his head, telling him to stop resisting and regenerate already. F's getting annoyed by the whole situation. He was actually looking for D, so he decides to turn back. But then Red Ranger shows up, saying he can't go back. He orders F to transform and face him. Red Ranger's peeved. He just warned him not too long ago, and now he's already betraying them. D's worried seeing this cause he's seen it before, and there's no doubt it's real. Ranger decides to expunge F and summons the divine artifact. With the supreme technique, Yamada no Orochi, Red Ranger finishes F off. D feels a pang, remembering his brother.